Malan, Idokonyete will allow him to bring on board the party president of the Democratic Party and Netoma on radio. Yes, Jagata Chole Moses, Karabutu
Emu
program.
bakoto ngangara pakina shalamkine asukere kupete para nina abuko na swam
Yes.
again kule the National Council so the janu delegate silu epondos of Uganda kere epondos from Gabon, from Kabale, from Busia, and also the other side of Navy. Apola swam kujubute so college ilipi the honorable minister do lerengina ini lakini kwa the students. So mame poli pesa jala kini ene ko di duelo ponte so college.
Yes.
Eso buanga apakina ipol. So ilosting ina I mean to guide the students on we say on career and also the way of life from the academic perspective.
Yes.
And also from the cultural behavior. You must identify with your culture regardless of the qualification.
That is true.
So we're not idle.
Yes.
To say that we were seated somewhere taking beer and abandon the listeners.
Yes.
So itunga lote so akutunganga pakina ejaone sukere asoda ilipe sa pupokin agroni po ni kamara kwa Uganda.
Yeah.
Mepuga ela jokan not transition or coalition and also partly the minister will talk about compensation.
Yes.
It's one of the key things the people of Teso are saying.
Yeah.
And actually doubting that will the government pay the people of Teso.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity for the people who live in Teso. It's not only about the Teso. We have the Choli community, we have the Langi community, we have the Jaluo, we have the Bagisu in Soweto City East.
Yes.
So Big Sam, I will only do a bit of translation.
Okay.
And maybe respond issues that are within my line of duty as a special envoy.
Yeah.
But I think I have delivered before. Kumi was not part of the districts.
Yeah.
I mean, just a compensation. But we shared as a party.
Yes.
Say Yalaman.
Yalamanoi. Now, what take care, Chole Moses one, was local Lapolonke, a party, DP. Do Tomato Gom, I now have want to take the opportunity to welcome the Honorable Minister, also happens to be the party president for the Democratic Party, right here in the studios. And I want to give the opportunity to say hello to the people of Teso before we dive into our discussion at this evening. Welcome to Kyoga Veritas, Honorable Minister.
Hey, Alamanoi.
Elamba.
And I'm very pleased to be here on Kyoga Veritas, together with my young colleague,
Yes.
Moses Ochole. I've been here before, and I'm honored to return to all the Ateke community. First, I congratulate you on hosting the international conference of the Ateke. I was making a joke one time when I met the vice president, and I said, "This is the international conference of cattle rustlers." And she said she would have me arrested. And I was saying that I think there must be some suspects among those who gathered.
Probably.
Then she said, "But do you know that our overall patron is the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia?"
Exactly, yes.
So I want to salute that spirit. I also wish to honor Papa Morimo and thank him for keeping our people together. I remember the Papa Morimo first one was with us all through his talks.
Yes.
I remember him confronting Joseph Cohen, and in his gentle way said, "My son, you have been saying that we are the ones who sent you. Now we have come to tell you to come back home."
Yes.
And in my heart I said, "Does Papa Morimo know who he's talking to?" What if the man loses his head now here?
Yes.
Then he said, "For me, I don't fear."
Yeah.
Because he walked with us all those 16 miles to go to where the meeting was. So I want to salute the spirit of solidarity
Okay.
of the Greater North,
Yes.
because we must realize that we have unique issues which unite us.
That is true.
But also, we have demonstrated that we don't complain for nothing. And many times we get labeled, instead of people understanding our people from the Greater North, West Nile, Lango, Teso, Karamoja, and Acholi, we always scratch where we are itching. And that causes us problems.
That is true.
For some people, even when some other part of their body is itching, they scratch their head because they are shy.
To scratch the real part.
Yes, so scratching your head when another part is itching does not solve the problem.
Definitely.
And it doesn't mean you are anti-government.
Yeah.
So I also wish to advise our political leaders to realize that we all speak for people we represent. So if you are from the church, you know you have a constituency.
True.
If you are from the media,
Yeah.
you also have a constituency of the media.
Mm.
Right now, you are competing with social media. Revenues are going down.
Completely.
Government does not want to advertise. And so these are issues you must talk about. So we are honored to be back in Teso sub-region. We are grateful that our leaders and members of the Democratic Party from Teso sub-region offered to host the Democratic Party National Executive Committee, which is the executive organ of the party with 55 members. And also tomorrow we shall be having the National Council, which consists of all those who stood on DP ticket in the last election for parliament and all the chairpersons. Sometimes people ask, because they think when I signed the cooperation agreement with President Museveni and joined as minister, now I've stopped being DP.
The DP president.
I think that is based on ignorance. We have got in Uganda a body known as the Interreligious Council of Uganda. It brings together Muslims, the born agains, the Catholics and Protestants, and even the Seventh-day Adventists. They are all there, but each of them goes there according to their faith. It is a forum to serve a common interest.
Okay.
I was privileged that in 2021, I got a phone call from President Museveni asking me to join the government. And I told the president, I think now I'm ready. That's not the first time he had asked me to work with him.
Yes.
But I think previously, I think I would have made a very bad minister. I think I was too angry. So I used to tell him, Mr. President, I think you will sack me in 2 weeks.
Yes.
I'm not ready. I'm too annoyed.
Yeah.
Because we had 1.7 million people displaced in the camps. The government was refusing to support the peace talks. And we also wanted multi-party democracy. So we had issues. These were serious differences. And we are all Ugandans, and depending on our respective visions, we have our visions for Uganda.
True.
But we must look for common ground as Ugandans. So when the president invited me to join, I then told him, give me time and I consult. And after consultation, we decided that we should have a written cooperation agreement, spelling out what we want to do together for Uganda. So the cooperation agreement is not just about NRM.
Yeah.
It's not just about DP. It's actually about Uganda.
Okay.
And it is not even about Norbert Mao. It's
Yes.
not about President Museveni. It's about Uganda.
Okay.
And it spells out just 4 issues, which Moses will translate.
Yes.
The first one is national reconciliation. We have hurt each other as Ugandans. We have shed each other's blood. There's no part of Uganda that has not had bloodshed. It is not only in the greater north. In Buganda, there was bloodshed. Western Uganda, bloodshed. Barara and Masaka were destroyed in the 79 war to kick out Idi Amin.
Yeah.
West Nile, a lot of bloodshed. We have even had intentional massacres, you know, the killings in Luwero, Mukura,
Yeah.
Buchoro, Namukora. Then you have the ones of the LRA. The other day I went to Balanga. I went to a place called Ogoma here near Kumi. So we need to talk as Ugandans. The cooperation agreement is about a national dialogue.
Okay.
It's not about pointing fingers. Then it's about also peaceful change, peaceful transition. Since 1962, we have never had peaceful change of government. Congo, which we despise, they managed in their own way to at least change gears from Kabila to Tshisekedi.
Yeah.
Even Burundi, imagine Burundi has managed to change presidents. So we need to find a formula which will allow us to continue being on the road driving. Even when we change gears, the engine should not go off. But in Uganda, each time we try to change gears, the engine goes off. That means either the car is bad or the driver is bad. One of the two. Then the third thing is constitutional reforms. There are people who have ideas about the constitution. They think we should restore a presidential term limit. There are those who believe we should give more powers beyond having decentralization. We should have a higher form of devolution. Others even are calling for federalism.
Yeah.
Now we have all these small Mickey Mouse districts with very little capacity to even run anything. They are always fighting. The council can't even sit. You find the district chairman is at war with the speaker. The speaker can't even control the councillors. The budget is low. We have now declared cities. There's very little support to the cities.
Yeah.
You move to cities, you find they even don't know where to dump rubbish. So we must think bigger.
Okay.
The Kenyans have done it. And then we must also talk about reforms of elections. We must have faith in our elections. Elections should be a competition to serve, not a struggle for survival. It cannot be war. You cannot have an election which looks like a war. We must election. Ghana had elections. I don't think it even made news that there was an election in Ghana.
Indeed, it did not.
It was very peaceful.
Yeah.
The sitting government was defeated even in election, and the new president quietly assumed office, Mr. Mahama, and he's there. He's from another party. In Nigeria, they also had an election. Somehow they have managed to come together. Kenya, they have found their kind of formula also. They still have some commotion.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we put in the cooperation agreement. I'm grateful that the president trusted me with an important portfolio. And right now, I am the biggest advocate for war victims compensation. And that includes compensation of cattle. It is not just about cattle, actually.
Yeah.
Now, there are two types of war reparations. You have the individual claimants who lost cattle, and we have a bill of 473. Those are the ones we have verified so far for Choli, Lango, and Teso. I went to Parliament to request that they give me at least 150 million. But the money we have been getting has been so little. Imagine you get 30 billion and you want to divide it between Acholi, Lango, and Teso. It is like giving you one crystal of sugar to put in a cup of tea. Then I ask you, how sweet is your tea? It is a joke. Indeed. So the president, after receiving a lot of complaints, has announced that he wants to meet the real cattle owners who want to be compensated. Yes. Of course, sometimes we politicians, we position ourselves and start making a noise when we never even lost one cow.
That is
right. It's like lawyers, you know, prolonging a case in court, yet they are really not the parties. The president now says we must talk directly to those who lost their cattle, and we find a formula to settle this matter once and for all. And the payments are now being sent directly, no longer through lawyers.
Yes.
So we want to liberate those who seek compensation from the lawyers, some of whom have been cheating these people. So I do believe strongly that patience pays.
But it pains.
Yes, I know it pays and it pains, but it is so far this year we have only managed to pay like 16.14 billion, and we have only paid 11,250 claimants. That is a very, very, very small number. The people who are claiming for compensation are so many. I have also promised the political leaders that our ministry is going to send the details of who has been paid fully, who has been paid partially, who has not been paid at all,
yeah,
and who has put in a claim and has not yet been verified. We are going to make that list public.
Okay.
So that we answer the accusations of lack of transparency.
That is true.
So, and we have nothing against the MPs who are pushing us. You know, it is only the door which makes noise, which gets grease. When you try to open a door and it makes noise, then you say, I'm tired of this door. Yes. Bring some oil and put it there.
Actually, for Information Minister, yesterday there was, I think, a campaign that was launched in Soroti. That is, I think, dubbed no cow, no vote.
Yes.
And of course, that is from the opposition member of parliament of Soroti. And they claim that the government, even after the courts ruled in favor of the people who were complaining in court, but up to now, there's nothing the government has done in terms of paying for these cattle. So they are trying to understand where could be an issue exactly. You also read that there's money that have been paid, yes, but some people, and especially from, I think, Serere and other places, people who claimed for maybe like 50 cows, when you go check your account, you get like maybe like 300,000 or 900,000. So those are some of the issues that sometimes make people wonder, how is government paying people? So when
I really want to meet those who have received 300,000.
Yeah, it's actually there.
Because the cost of a cow is at least 1.1 million.
I'm very sure
that's the minimum somebody should receive.
Yes.
We as the Ministry of Justice, now we are even building our permanent building here in Soroti. Some of you have seen where it is.
Yeah, I know.
So we are very serious about really getting feedback. If somebody is listening to me who has received 300,000 and it is allegedly a cow, that's a problem. We can only solve a problem when we own it.
Yeah.
I'm now talking to you as the minister in charge of that. The matter is being handled by the Office of the Attorney General.
Yes.
Because that's the person who is statutorily mandated to deal with these issues. But I've never heard that somebody has received 300,000.
They'll testify when we open up our calls.
Yeah.
But maybe, Mr. Let's give Honorable Moses to have a breakdown on what you just raised in Ateso before we proceed with Yes, Educator Moses.
In terms of a kise para democracia de pasoli. Martin sibe Congo dani pele ni gigi apedosi e jula pugani. Ade parole. Mas bonesi Burundi da apedosi. Mar bonesi Nigeria. Anjende sibe Nigeria ajasko military coups. Abujo ni Sama Pacha, Mohamed Buhari, Olusegun Obasanjo, Odiko, and the rest.
Yes.
They have actually achieved very consider a Jurab of Pugan from Olusegun Obasanjo, Goodluck Jonathan, Omara Yaradua, and now Buhari, Obasanjo Tudor. So, a rai arere na a joke, a quap, a domum, a Pugaela joka, Nesbo ayangalo kwani bala ijie lo iteyo bibunga uchuta sayak ibungaro ketati na mamu e job. So kwa ni tunga ap pedori bobo e jase o kapo bore na job. So balanis bobo nes kape minister ngona yati kisela kada bobo apunge tengine make constitution. E out nesi ajuju letter me pedorete to jokari aseo areda mamu e jokonoi e pedorase obere nyini ata makina wangu remote.
Yes.
If yati bonesa abikyo ni kamana na compensation atachio aituku na itonga. Balanesi be rwanapo ejitunga ayu mwenye be mamsido mutikapu. Kwenye na ambalo itunga ipo kwenye rai leuju. Itachita itunga nepeta iluku minto gana kanyape bomu. Ayu mintunga iluku miti. Itachitai tomo bilioni ito gana kanyape. Ilipiti na esi nabo wapu gani. Aina nike ministry bilioni akwata takaisa kani.
Yeah.
Neteti ngobombe inano kwa ni teso bilonini akaisakan lango bilonini akaisakan acholi bilonini nyo akaisakan bapo nisi la bonbe bata chona iboro mamera ituku boni ejitu walo pono jepi ejitu wali chweta ikechiboro ejitu walo pono tuwakia si businesses so nebala nisi babe mam kotitunga lepo odumuta boiso metachere kwesi inetu bonisi la bejie mamera iteso bono ndumu tati yokusoro ejie idumo ni kati 1979 puni mama no maema saka kambara rakani ni oni da bobo ane in the 80s puni mama no maema bobo ni apuga also the UPA in 2003 oni ne teso ajai LRA sebala nesi da bono be apucho no rekapa kwa national reconciliation esi bono bore pedori enyakuna munu ene jasito itunga chamu be bakiro ne pedoro na raja katisam kaesa pupo
yeah
a situation ilo Nigeria complex ijenete subombe be president lo kapani ejai atwa at one point was detained by Buhari Orai Buhari a military leader 1983 ikiribo bonen arobasa njoda bobo ila jai oku olosobojo sama bacha ngunu kere
yeah
kunyobu Nigeria opero to initiate a reconciliation processes lokwani aina ki stable democracy in terms of ejujula pukani so siboro lupo ana kila pak mamera ina era ilololo kunyobo mokiti nesi bonbe mamu era ina solid a president la kwap ili pesi be chairman maudiane so manaros
yeah
obunesa odume simu aneje jacket Museveni wanapo kwenye mamune sibera kapaina na ara tukitesa Kenya yura utau
yeah
na chipa kinese mpede jieda kwenye balesi be mam kakwa na polo resi adaonesa meseki ni bono bakwapo na Uganda ekoti tunga kere ane koto reconciliation
yes
ese pedori ayao ni mpuga elejo kineti dabo bonesi bo reforms lelos nesi ayao i district na lipo edited ago esiboro kwa ndunajo bonbe bimulule ya itosi district ala mamisira koki district LC5 nari mamitika pulibwe lo soko ni bote kuna contracts usori ya domo no isiri jule ponente kato city
yeah
ikidioko nara imamu city edu mune financial support lo epol so it takes be reforms in
yes
onle marai atia kuno bubona district nara reducing the funding sector local government mame speak pere oro council mame district ada pere oro nara e pui district na le kosikapu the minister of local government mame pere ori to deliver to my part and even the local revenue le tuki a district mame pere ori to tally with the demand of the district
yeah
sai na peta ngu esobu nesi inapana ageuno aneje constitution ari reforms mu obunyo national reconciliation obunijo a peaceful transition of government also being it akini to compensate the war-torn regions imata iteso imata choli imata ilango ankole busoga jene teso in 2016 ajeje
yeah
ukasese mina between irwezururu kapugani inyo aya una tioni senyen ala krono po ama msacha manari yala manoi.
Now allow me to cross back to the Honorable Minister right in the studios, but in case I take tuned in the studios. I have the DP President, Honorable Norbert Mao, who also happens to be the Minister of course, Justice anatoba kopoko Uganda. Jemwa Kroni Puno, Anikamara Kidakroni Pugaye, Anakopoko Uganda. And of course, he has touched quite a range of issues, and those were exactly the issues I was going to highlight. Otoma Omesaki and Wisabo Onkin and Otoma Radio. Now, Honorable Minister, you did mention at the beginning that a DP, as we speak right now, is holding a very sensitive and very important two meetings in Soroti. That is, I think, the NEC. The NEC meeting is taking place, and then also the National Council is also a meeting is taking place in Soroti. I don't know why did a DP decide to bring these sensitive meetings to TESO at this time around as we're approaching towards the 2026 general election. Is it that you're trying to bring the roots down to the people and also to see how to get some support ahead of the elections?
We are in TESO because we are celebrating the legacy of some of the strong pillars of DP that emerge from TESO.
Okay.
Not only the younger generation like Moses Ochole,
yes,
who was able to win a seat in Amuria District Council against all odds. I'm always teasing my brother Musa Ichwero. I said, Musa Ichwero, you need this young man.
Yeah.
Leading a country requires everybody.
That is true.
You can see in Britain, the opposition and the government are now coming together over Ukraine. But here in Uganda, we think opposition and the government are like two railway lines that never meet. They just go parallel to each other. That's not true. It seems as Africans, we have totally misunderstood this thing of multipartyism.
That is true.
Have you ever seen when Americans travel abroad, do you hear them disagreeing when they are in Africa?
No.
They come, Republicans, Democrats, they quarrel from their country. But Ugandans, when they go abroad, that's when they start undressing each other
from
and bringing all the dirty clothes, and we really make a fool of ourselves. There is nothing wrong with disagreeing, but we should not be disagreeable. Now, here we have people like Cuthbert Obwango, who was DP, by the way, before he moved. A strong pillar. And I hope someone writes a book about him, because some of the people talk as if they are the first ever politicians has seen.
Yes.
Uganda has seen very great politicians. You can't talk as if you are the alpha and omega of politics. Me, when I'm in Gulu, I'm very humble. I know I've had great people like Andrew Adimola. I've had people like Alexander Latim. I've had people like Gino Bonyo. I've had people from other parties, like even from UPC, Eric Lakidi, and so on. Of course, most people now only know Kony and so on, and Alice Lakwena.
Yes.
But those are not the people who represent us. They don't represent us. The people who represent us are Jana Niluom, Saint Jana Niluom. Those are the people. The fact that by coincidence we also produce Kony doesn't mean that we are Kony. We have got real pillars. We have had people was the dean of Makerere Medical School, one of the founders of that Makerere University Medical School. So we are in TESO to celebrate people like that.
Yes.
And also to celebrate one of the first women national politicians from TESO. She was DP, Frances Akelo, of the Legico. She was in the Legislative Council in the 50s. So we are celebrating that. We have even managed to acquire a piece of land in Soroti City, and we are going to build a training center for leaders, because DP has always been training leaders.
Yeah.
You look around all over Uganda, which leader hasn't got a trace of DP? Starting from the president. He was in DP for 10 years. He talks about it proudly. But of course, a party like DP could not thrive in politics of gunmen running around killing each other. Even if you are Messi and you're a good footballer, you can't play if people are running with pangas in the football field. Even Messi would be paralyzed.
Definitely.
So in Uganda, we have left the match. We had left the match to to basically thugs, because the decent people now had no room.
Yeah.
How could you play politics? So it is not an accident like that political parties like DP have had no room, because the rules of the game had been changed completely, and it was no longer according to the constitution. We still revere the memory of people like Francis Akelo, who was a prominent DP, and others who we are going to honor as we go to our delegates conference. So we have come here to do politics, but we have also come here to relate to the efforts people are making. TESO is, it has TESO University, of course.
Yes.
Which
So
has one of
university.
the best campuses.
Yeah.
I envy it when I look at Gulu University. I have always been complaining
Yes.
that Gulu University is squeezed somewhere, while TESO University. So
University.
even when you are arriving at the gate alone, you really feel intimidated.
Yes.
So we are celebrating those institutions today. In the evening, I paid a courtesy call on Mr. Julius Opaso, the head teacher of TESO College, Aloet.
Yeah.
And the deputy, Mr. Lupot, was with me at Makerere University. We are the ones who were protesting this World Bank policy of making university students pay without any source of income. And we were there protesting. Eventually, the president agreed with us that we were right to protest because that policy was wrong. How would the children of the poor go to university? So we spoke to the students of TESO College Aloet, at least the S3, S4, S5, and S6. We had a good conversation. I tried my best to tell them my own story, how I grew up in the village. I lived without a mother from the age of 8 months, because my mother left me when I was 8 months old, and I was being passed from grandmother to aunt and so on. So I was encouraging them, and my theme of my speech to them was, the past is not equal to the future. And this message should go to all of us in these areas that are recovering from war, that this past we have had is not equal to the future. The future can be bright, and we have prominent leaders who come from here. My sister, the Right Honorable Speaker, who I've known for so many decades, right from the time she was working in a bank in Gulu.
Yeah.
Bright lights from here. Her Excellency, the Vice President. We have got so many other leaders. Now, Governor Bank of Uganda. So all those are opportunities to show that we are not just defined by, you know, these rebels and so on. Some people want to reduce us to the size of the rebels. We are bigger than that, and we must continue when anybody starts reducing us. West Nile is not Idi Amin.
Yeah.
You can't reduce West Nile to Idi Amin. West Nile produced Francis Ayume, a proper intellectual and former Speaker of Parliament.
Yeah.
West Nile has produced people like Dr. Adrico. West Nile produced people like Valeriano Vonji, who was also a DP incidentally,
yes.
and so many others. We must talk about that. So we have come to TESO to celebrate the contribution of TESO to the Democratic Party, and also to celebrate the contribution of TESO to Uganda.
Yes.
It's not an accident that we are here.
Okay.
Of course, this is an election year, so we are also testing the ground to see which seats we can vie for.
Okay.
And we have already identified some seats and some candidates who we believe can carry the DP party flag.
Yeah.
DP is alive. Nobody should say that DP is not alive. DP is alive. It may have issues, but which political party doesn't have issues? I want somebody to name for me one political party which is not having issues.
Yes.
Even NRM has issues. I see whenever they have elections, you have people who go independent because they are quarreling with the...
We don't believe on the results.
Yes. Also, DP, we are divided over so many other issues. UPC, FDC, now you don't know where the head is and where the
Where
tail
the
is. Is now moving in all directions.
Yeah.
The ANT,
Yeah.
now you have other formations that are coming up
Mm.
of the 500 million shilling man.
Yeah.
So all that makes Uganda interesting, and we should celebrate our diversity,
Yeah.
even politically.
Mm.
We have got the main opposition party, the NUP.
Yeah.
There must be space in Uganda for everybody who wants to play this game.
Mm.
The rules of the tournament must be very clear, and we must have referees who are impartial, and so that everybody has as best a chance.
Yeah.
This government came into power because the young men who took up guns were protesting election rigging. So if there's one thing in the constitution, one right we must safeguard, it's really the right to free and fair elections.
Yeah.
So I was very happy to see the Electoral Commission summoning the security forces to ask them about their conduct in Kawempe.
Yeah.
Somebody has put his hand up and you continue beating him up. Surely, that's not a good picture. It doesn't send a
Of
good
course, it now
message.
portrays that what we expect to have actually in the next
No,
year.
we can still deal with it.
Mm.
Such things should not be applauded,
Yeah.
and such things should be condemned, and nobody should ignore them. We should talk about them.
Yeah.
And this country is ours, and
True.
it is going to be there long after all of us have been eaten by worms in our graves.
Yes.
So you must not really do anything which opens up old wounds.
True.
Of course, we must all be responsible. I have my own opinions on how political parties should behave. You can't behave as if you are a law unto yourself, but also the security forces must use restraint.
Okay.
When I've always encouraged the police, as chair of the Cabinet Standing Committee on Human Rights,
Yes.
I've said, why don't you have loudspeakers as police? You go, put up your loudspeaker, let a senior police officer come and speak to the crowd and say, we propose that either you use this route, because in this case there was a disagreement over which route to take.
Yeah.
One group, the security forces are saying you can't pass here. The other group are saying we shall pass there, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Now, those who are behind, for them, they don't know actually what is happening. And then you even don't know who the leader is to engage. As a DP, we have always held the demonstrations and protests. But when I'm leading a protest, I always talk to the senior police officer and say, you know what? We gave you notice. You know what we are doing. We are peaceful. Don't start any violence. That's how we manage those days of walk to work and so on. So it would be good if the police officers mount a microphone and say, ladies and gentlemen, we order that this assembly disperses in 5 minutes. And then you don't start with beatings. The police must always start with the lowest form of force.
Yeah.
You cannot start with a beating immediately. There are water cannons, there is tear gas, and so on. You can keep upgrading according to the level of threat, but you cannot start with the maximum one. So this engagement with the Electoral Commission, I believe, was good, and I'm told that the ground has calmed down a little bit. And let the people speak and send those who they think represent them. The kind of parliament we have today, I wait to hear what you in the media think, but definitely it is not the parliament of the Cuthbert of Wangos.
Definitely. I agree with you on that.
It's a different one.
Thank you so much, Minister. Yes, Moses.
Aloskini tena area muna lipata noteso.
Yes.
Erai enu munomu utungalu ekusia tosa Uganda ila buton kasbat of Wangor ijai tutakelo emino gwangore atwana ija tuta kelo ijai oso dabo badolo kinitonga le gwekto si pato constituency kapa yongo ani net bonesi boreni e polo bala nesi bonu baseo mamerai gweki polisi ni toma mamnesi gang ne pechep bunga una itunga ne kwa ne joka wempe mamnesi gangi ale bala nesi bonbe kapa e pate mamerai DP boni just kuna tiokso ituto sayesu in 2015-16 uboja kaita mama babasi remote belo sasa go forward it is the NRM in terms of the numbers babasi was saying the party 5 million. I mean Trodong also the other side was giving a contrary figure in that bonus me kamara kulichia party in mama losi abongoi anene kujeba la nisi bonbe the political parties be poko pani ija tionis in that bonus la bonbe baira bete na kapani mame pedori ile kese arai sisa omiso bala irabete yana jobo angor irabete yana jo sebo nesene be mame koto itunga etaraunu etekerele etaraunu iboreni ilosajo all the time ene biso angino lango so matos ko sejo actually dangina jetu ngala jasi ara ina west nile ne kolelo mtu Moses Ali mamjilo salimu be Moses Ali erere bonara Idi Amin e bande be kado ni ne te jasi rebels konye mamteso era bosi na rebels ijaitu ngalu I mean jasi teso Martis kapato to speaker Martis vice president ini kuli ngona cha mula tepoa kai chetunga so mamteso era boisi na ne pedori aija ko itunga le roko bon ipwetu alu lu joka kare pa le roko ane banesi da bon kare ba situnga beras ko sikon mami ko de la kwena erai agweki na kwesi tunga la choli erai muntu ngalo poto anga se decision ke chebo kado onda ni into to say bonda na ja cerebrals irikuse just no so you cannot say benyo bejielo teso rebels opotrebos July notes ijapu kan so maite jo so mamujo lo seto so metekereni kapa lo se ajo aitia kitonga ngini teker ejaitu alu ejokak ejaitu ale roko sakirongun nesita tamtila polo na ni ujalo skimtena ne pate ai nomunom achievements arajo kisho mwike tunga alue gogo ane oteso do esitiki neso areja kat kasbat obuangor legislator na gogo toto akelo rai MP na ejari legiko poloni shagi okumi achombala kwesi yare bon ejari tabala Uganda kerelo jasi legiko so itunga lote sekotoni ajenu enomonomo itunga oko erikosejasi ara ile jaso opposition ndiso amati boresha la mkesi kade jasi NRM ndiso amata kwesi boreni ejoko nore tunga lore anekotona anyu na gudu mamilo si aitia kitunga atupitosi iria gile ilo ulepate nare kwa lumunjo bonwe bitunga ejaka kati bia kiro na itu titunga lipwetu kora bian eiga ngalo ndo na lobo anakira mu titunga etukora anyu na bonwe binyo ibore pelo rita seme dawo tomasewa na anebuni so itamtamiti nesi akiro ne posik ni kama na kuditunga ne oteso eso amanara anu kwa neto neno kwa eme dawo
yala manaja kaita honbo chole Moses atekier ara kapanjo alom toma radio kon ngisi napekana jango kedam aja kaita honorable chole Moses opas kedala polon ke lipate ke agoda
mone railo ile kapate railo apolo lipate
okay okay aja keda pate president lo pate ngolo DP atomato go jimbo jo rangesi minister ane kutoa pugana Museveni iduda jenges kutomo yapi sungoni lo ikamta krono ilangir no krono kisla kachita kire dora no wailo itimondo be ere kino waila krona kituku ke yapi si ngisi ikamto su akirongun Ido ada ngasal mokino ni ane kutuma already ven. Apugan angase kapakina atrakini tungalo teso ikesi buru lapo toka si domre teso bon erai tungalo lango kena tungala choli katiso kerem ejasi to mana peta anu chuti kusadumu no ikesi buru lapo toka si ido bunga mtebi iche tuwapo domu tikapuni dis akopetu no abetu sadumu kwa eba ngesi bare jaingun le domu tosi ikapuli kidoko noi ere kurukine si ara asumun moi o taunu ireno kida ngesi ngese bala ngesi a chengo ngono ina sekanga ngesi mu I pray no mu do yengiti ngesi akona ngesi ta anetoma already. Now chama kona ngom abong kona tomato go once again to the honorable minister. You mentioned the issue of the peaceful transition, and if I'm to mention this, it's one of the key things that you have been actually trying to affront for a country like Uganda. But it beats one's understanding to know that Uganda, from day go, we have never experienced any peaceful transition in this country, just like the countries that you give example of. I don't know to you what could be the problem with Uganda. Why is it that Uganda has failed to have a peaceful transition?
You could attribute it to many factors.
Yes.
I've already told you, number one is the politics of manipulation and sectarianism. As you know, the first president of Uganda did not hand over.
Yes.
That was Kabaka Mutesa the second. He was overthrown. The constitution was overthrown. There is a book that I would like many Ugandans to read. It's actually about Abubakar Kachama Mayanja, who was Uganda's Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Minister of Information. He held many portfolios. He was there in the parliament at the time of independence. And it is a very good book written by Professor A.B.K. Kasozi.
Yes.
And I would urge many of the people who like to talk about politics to really talk from a point of knowledge. The second reason, apart from manipulation, is indiscipline in the army, where the army basically runs the political class. It is important for us to respect those who have the mandate to govern.
True.
So right now, irrespective of what you think of the NRM, whether you think they are the worst, whether you think they are this and that, they have the mandate to govern until the next elections in 2026.
Yes.
But in Uganda, we have often had the army coming in to really overrun. That was a phenomenon which was due to the Cold War. We had very many foreign players in our local politics. As the history has recorded, Idi Amin was definitely supported by those who opposed Obote's economic policies of nationalization and so on. The other thing, of course, is the character of a leader. You know, letting go of power is not an easy thing. It really, I'm sure even the security guard at your gate there wields power, because he is the one who decides who comes in and who stays out. So when you tell the person that as of today your services are not required, they are bound to protest. So the temptation of power is very, very strong. So perhaps sometimes we don't know when it is our time to go.
Yes.
It is difficult, but there are examples of those who have survived the power, like Julius Nyerere. our president's mentor. His people told him that, Mwalimu, what will happen to the country when you go? Those who were around him, the big political leaders, the ministers, and those who had power, said, Mwalimu Nyerere, surely you can't go. What will happen to Tanzania? In reality, they were not talking about Tanzania. They were more worried about what would happen to them,
To themselves.
than what would happen to Tanzania.
Yes.
And Mwalimu Nyerere's wisdom is that he saw through that.
Yes.
That they were really not about what would happen to
Tanzania,
Tanzania.
but to themselves.
It can happen.
Yeah.
If somebody comes to me as Norbert Mao, I'm a leader of the party, and
Yeah.
he says, what will happen to our party if you leave right now?
Yes.
It may actually not be about the party. It may be about them. That what will happen to us
Exactly.
when you leave?
Yeah.
So as a leader, you must be able to see through that. So they even did a kind of research to find people's opinion, and the people of Tanzania still wanted Mwalimu to continue.
Yeah.
But he stepped down as president, and he balanced the boat. He balanced the boat by bringing a Muslim. Mwalimu was a Catholic. He brought a Muslim who was from Zanzibar. And then they started the culture of 2 terms.
Yes.
Which continued until, unfortunately, Magufuli died in office. So that is also a reason why we have not had peaceful change, because you may find that you don't want to go. I was in the parliament when term limits were lifted, and I opposed the lifting of the term limits. We thought that Uganda even had the capacity to be like America.
Yeah.
Not that we are really America, but there's a time when God aligns people, and you see a group of people who are actually capable of keeping a particular vision alive.
Yeah.
The vision may vary a little bit, but it stays on track.
True.
So many people assumed that because we had people like Kategaya, we have people like the 20s, the 27, the core of the national resistance movement. We thought it would be like George Washington, celebrated general, who you could compare to President Museveni. George Washington served 2 terms and left. Then the next leader was John Adams. John Adams served 2 terms and left. Then the 3rd president was Thomas Jefferson, 2 terms and he left. Then came, I think, did James Madison or John Quincy Adams, one of those. So for the first several years of America, it was the comrades. And the comrades disagreed. For instance, John Adams and Jefferson actually disagreed so much, but they were respectful of each other. In fact, they died on the same day. One died before the other.
Yes.
So we had this idealism that, you know, the comrades from the bush were capable of sustaining that dream.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it did not happen. Then we thought that with the age limit, there would be another president. Maybe NRM would continue to be in power, but with another president, that's not a problem. Tanzania has had only one party,
Yeah.
but different presidents. So I would really encourage Ugandans to talk about these issues. After all, the Constitution says power belongs to the people. So it is not subversive to talk and say, look, did we make a wrong turn anywhere in this experiment that we have had?
Yeah.
The good thing is that we have a constitution, which this year is celebrating its 30th birthday. Now, in the life of a constitution, 30 years is really young. So I am hoping that Ugandans will really insist that we must obey
the constitution and
Constitution.
the laws.
Yeah.
Then what is the point of having laws if we don't obey them?
Okay.
So we must not keep quiet about that. We also expect that the military, the main role of the military really is to protect our borders. The civilians are stubborn, by the way. There's no country where civilians are not stubborn, and that's why the police have special training.
Yes.
So you are going to be dealing with pickpockets and so on. Are you going to shoot somebody dead because he's running with a telephone?
No.
That's an important judgment. You can't take life because of a telephone.
You cannot.
Yeah.
Mm.
So civilians need to be contained by police that can handle civilians.
True.
And it is based on physical training of your strength, but also your mind, and to know how civilians behave. Now you can imagine those who teach in kindergarten. These are children of 3 years old, 4 years old. Wouldn't you kill them because some of them can easily be naughty? So you must have specialized training because someone will grab another person's toy, another one will step on another person's food, and so on. You just simply commit murder. So we need a new political culture. Many people talk about laws. I hear people say electoral reforms.
Yeah.
For sure, I don't mind having laws. We have one of the best anti-corruption laws in Uganda. Has it stopped corruption?
No.
I think we have to be real. We must really accept that we are in Uganda, and we must deal with the reality of Uganda.
Yeah.
And realize that perhaps some of our people still have not adjusted. You bring flush toilets in our rural communities, and then you see the mess that is created there. You wonder. You build nice tarmac roads. The people are driving Land Cruisers. Then you see banana peels are being thrown out of the windows.
Mm-hmm.
You see Kavera being thrown out of the window of a very expensive car.
Yeah.
So the person is driving a very expensive car. The person probably is even well educated, but it has not gotten in his head that littering the road actually is bad for everybody.
Yeah.
So we must realize that once we say the vote is the one which determines who leads, then let the vote actually in reality determine.
Exactly.
And as long as the elections are regular.
Yeah.
You see, Trump was president, then he was beaten, then he went in the cold, then he came back.
He claimed he was rigged actually.
Well, he has never accepted that he lost. and that is him anyway.
Yes.
But fortunately, the system was able to contain him.
Yeah.
And his protests. So we need a new political culture. We must avoid political untouchability. Right now, for the opposition, their pride is in not being seen with President Museveni. How can that be your pride? In America, I could see Speaker Pelosi, who tore President Trump's speech.
Yes.
When it came to matters of the budget, she went to the White House to sit with the... But if you told Joel Senyonyi that the president would like to meet you to discuss, some issues, he starts getting terrorized. What will the people of Nakawa think? They'll say I've been bought. They'll say I've been... But why should you have that worry?
Yeah.
So our theme is overcoming political untouchability. I must not be afraid to be seen the way a Muslim shouldn't be afraid to go and have dinner at the home of a Catholic bishop.
Yeah.
Say, he must have eaten pork. Why has he gone to the home of
bishop?
Yes. So our language as politicians matter a lot. And by the way, Uganda is still delicate. When we were in the village, we used to make this floor with the cow dung.
Yeah.
So you first put the rammed earth and so on. Now, when the floor is still soft and delicate, you don't organize
The house.
what is the most aggressive dance in Tesoia?
Ajosi.
You don't start ajosi dance
Yes.
on a delicate floor.
Yeah.
So in Uganda today, we cannot afford ajosi.
Yeah.
So, okay, we want democracy, we have multipartyism, but we must also know that the floor of our house
Is still delicate?
is still delicate, because
Okay.
now you unleash your ajosi with all your energy.
Yeah.
The floor will be broken. And I think that's what being responsible means. You must not destroy the tournament by
Definitely.
your conduct.
Thanks so much,
Yeah.
Honorable Minister. Maybe time is running so fast, but maybe before that, before I cross to Moses Ochole, Honorable Minister, I want you to make a comment on the current atmosphere of politics in Uganda, and we all admit that this is not the electoral kind of year, and next year we're actually casting a ballot. But the situation at hand right now seems to be not favoring a majority of the opposition in Uganda, and the case in scenario is what's happening in the Kawempe, and it's not the first time it's happening in Kawempe. It has happened in Teso, it happened in Sort City East here, it happened in Katakwi, it happened in Serere, and everywhere. I don't know the involvement of the security personnel, most especially the army, into our politics. I don't know what you have to make about that kind of a situation.
All those things have a history. If if we are having a genuine competition to get leadership, then nobody will take the stakes to be too high.
Yeah.
And incidentally, it didn't start today.
No.
Of course, now those lamenting most are different. But I can tell you in 1996, you cannot believe what Kano Besige was doing in Rukungiri when Dr. Paul Kawanga Semogerere was going there to campaign.
Yes.
So they say what goes around comes around.
Yes.
So we must really be principled. We must be principled leaders. Do unto others as you wish done unto you. That's the golden rule. My own election was another prominent son of Teso who actually, with his wisdom, saved me. That is Mzee Akabwa Stephen Besweri. I can tell you in 1996, Gulu was a war zone. In the polling stations outside the barracks, the polling station had closed. Then we see these hundreds and hundreds of soldiers being offloaded from trucks, and they are lining up to vote. But of course, we were also not easy.
Yeah.
So we told our boys, go and get petrol and get matchboxes, lighters. We are going to burn the ballot papers. It was counting time. And you know, if ballot papers are partially counted, then
yes,
the election is dead.
Definitely.
So our people went there and just held the fuel and the lighters and said, you know, unless those people leave the line,
yeah,
we are going to burn these ballot papers. There was a Lieutenant Colonel called Lieutenant Colonel Mishambi.
Yeah.
He was very aggressive and very annoyed with us. Eventually, he had to order the soldiers to go. But there was also another phenomenon, voting in restricted areas.
Yes.
Even though elections had been done, the votes had been counted, and we even knew the results, and I was leading by about 2,000 votes. They still claimed that there are some votes that are going to come by helicopter from the front line. There was a law allowing soldiers to vote in restricted areas.
Yeah.
Soldiers who haven't seen a single poster, soldiers who have not listened to a single speech, but they are going to vote.
Yes.
And I knew they were voting for my opponent. But still we waited until we discovered that they didn't use the voters register. They used the army payroll, and which had ghosts. So even dead soldiers had voted. And we discovered that.
Yes.
So we walked out of the counting. Later, even Honorable Betty Bigombe's supporters also got annoyed because eventually we also discovered that they were using photocopied ballot papers to boost up the numbers with no serial numbers. So the returning officer, who was at that time the equivalent of a cow,
Yeah.
objected. So they also walked out in protest. Meanwhile, on the streets, we were facing soldiers who were wielding guns. I remember there was a soldier called Kanosula Semakula, pulled a pistol from his waist and waved it at me, and speaking in broken English, sounding like Luganda.
Yes.
You Mawo, you are not going parliament, you are going mortuary. I said, oh my God, is this really politics? So we all have stories about this.
True.
Which some people, the new people talk as if
It is the first time it's happening.
this is the first time it has happened to
Yeah.
them. Others have seen worse. We have had very bad governments and very bad soldiers who, as for DP, shooting our MPs was routine. We lost, I don't know, I need to compile the list of members of parliament that we lost. Just killed in cold blood. Of course, our own leader was disappeared by Idi Amin. We don't know where he was even buried. So, it is our duty to insist
Yeah.
that free and fair elections is actually the cardinal right,
Okay.
because it gives you the right to choose who makes decisions on your behalf.
Yeah.
So the only way is dialogue. The NUP, they hold the deputy chairmanship of a constitutional body known as the National Consultative Forum
Yeah.
of political parties. But they are also on a dangerous trend because they declare that, theirs is the legitimate president, they won elections and so on. Things which actually even continue to foul the waters even more. But that forum I've talked about is the best forum to talk about the rules of the game.
Okay.
We also have iPod.
Yeah.
We have requested the president because he's the chair of the iPod Summit, and the Honorable Richard Todwong is the secretary of the iPod Council. So we have asked them to convene a meeting of the parties that are in parliament so that we talk. So if there's no way we can solve these problems unless we talk, instead of threatening each other.
Yeah.
But if every day you open social media and somebody says, once you leave power, we are going to kill your children, we are going to go after everybody, and so a man records a video, says we are going to start slaughtering you. How do you say that? And you are at least these people of ISIS, the terrorists.
Terrorists, yes.
At least they cover their faces when they are making those threats.
Exactly.
Now you are just showing your face. So if people come and arrest you now, who do you blame? So we need to really assess the situation as objectively as possible.
Thank you so much.
But there is no way a citizen should accept things which compromise free and fair election. I came to parliament almost close to 6 weeks late, because when the returning officer was now stranded with the ballot papers, he had to call the boss. So the boss sent his deputy, Haji Aziz Kasuja. But Gulu was too hot for him. He fled very early in the morning. At 7, he just left. So then we had a radio announcement that the elections of Gulu have been nullified. That means we were supposed to go for fresh nominations and a voting date should be set. But because at that time the people were solidly behind me,
Yes.
that is when I looked for General Salim Saleh and I called him. So I said, General, do you want our people to really send their representative, or government wants to impose whoever they want? As far as I'm concerned, I really no longer care whether I go to parliament or not. The statement has been made.
Yeah.
And the reasons why the people were voting, the war was going on, people were suffering, government was not listening to calls for peace talks and so on. So the changes that we see in the greater north,
Yeah.
with many people now warming up to the government and even voting for President Museveni, it's not that people are being bought or that because people have been appointed to prominent positions. It is because of change in attitude.
Yeah.
In reality, remind me of a story of a boy who used to go to herd cattle. Then he starts shouting to the hills. And the hills would, of course, send echoes.
The echoes, yes.
So he would shout obscenities, very bad words, and the echoes would come back to him. So he would go and tell the mother, Mom, there's a boy there who is always insulting you, you know, saying bad things, insulting my mother and so on. Yet he's the one who is doing it. He said, okay, I understand my son, sorry, but why don't you try this? Tomorrow, go and shout and say, oh, my friend, I don't know you, but I love you. I want to meet you. Let's be friends. And the words came back to him.
Yeah.
So the boy went back to the mother and said, you know what? The boy has changed. All of a sudden, he's saying nice things about me. So this is what has happened in Teso, Lango, actually. It is only the change, actually, and the credit goes to President Museveni. Eventually, he had to change his tone. I remember him going to Amuro, and he apologized for the life of the people in the camps. He said, I am your president, whether you have voted for me or not. So how can I call myself proudly to be your president when you are like this, picking maize corn from the soil, maize which has dropped from World Food Program trucks? I said, we are also your people.
Yeah.
We may not have voted for you. You don't need to appoint us to your government, but you take an oath saying you will promote the welfare of Ugandans. In fact, it is only the presidential oath which has that phrase, to promote the welfare of Ugandans. Go and look at your constitution. So whether somebody has voted for you or not,
yes.
And that's why this program of PDM is a good thing.
Yeah.
And it should really not be partisan. It should touch everybody.
Thanks so much.
I hear in some places, some RDCs keep telling people, you are anti-government, you are not going to get, and so on. You're actually undermining the president. Anybody who is doing that is an enemy of the president, and an enemy of the NRM.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Let me give a jacket to Chole Dakanara Unikwa in the chap. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And never bonus born in Velu, Lango, Teso, actually West Nile. Mamma and Pedro for the queen. And if put the pedal on it, I don't cookie for the queen. It is through dialogue. So Bonesi and Ner, I'm going to Kamanara, no, a prosecuted, but let's all government programs. A rival bait, it to hack a down. Omama say Kurakai, but let's go be Yara. This is Louis Carrete Jobas, Railo FDC, Railo DP, Colony. Never bonus bonde. Bamu Muna, a jai, ne polonoi, political parties. It all out. It to someone's gonna lose kinet na enero. So let's see enero poor. Nigeria umetengewa baka National Consultative Forum for Political Parties and Political Organizations, NCF. Esera tukot nini na eight political parties kere. Neseja skudi mandate ke kisil to resolve atiaka na political parties. Babo neza bonbe kapa nini eroni e chama nila polono iPod. Era President Museveni.
Yeah.
Na dawo nesi enye lakini korona cheke Richard Etrodom. Girigira Lutilo NRM de ausere honorable right secretary general anyu nda pepedote kwesi eo anyarau atukot ala area munu ne supana ere ikina agroni kamara kulenyo ebu ngao tungai police ara ilu ila yuara konye baboneza bonbe bejitu ngalu isiliketa amumu ara kwani yo tubiye bala mululu aisil mululu Udwara taulo diwono rosri amu.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm a nice amu kere.
Yeah.
So balanesi bonwe. Mama jok. Ili bon kijok wani espere be. Ba paki ni yola ja pugani bon ilosa tutubi kondo ilosa ara kona belosa ara yo
Mm.
ejetone kona paikin batwani kidoma pugani nyo atwani kin
Yeah.
sababu nisbe Uganda elala Uganda anuo ni kere ajala sad disberi ngun ni sapere ngai juli kapani
Yala manoi ejekuchole. Okay, sawa the outer city noi, and I want to open up my studio line for questions and comments from the public. Ateke namba kale simu engara kwa nam anu akuna angiseta anetuma radio ido orai kutumo noti ikanyare ikanyaon wongon ikanyape ijope ngisenambale supre nomono anukwana one moro misho altuma radio bia ejang set ko jengiti honorable minister anetuma radio do rewunde petai DP president kotoma studios ani kala kira che ni de teme abura krono no kitu kuwara bonyo kereun nambale simu engara kwana anujo emoro kaso akona amisho anetuma radio. Hello Yoga Yarama no ikone kiror o Girigori.
Yes, I would like to much thank Mr. Minister. But then the problem in Teso is Teso has two groups. There's a group from TAPCO, those are people who work, Teso 116.
Yes.
Those are people who work cold and genuinely want the case. And again, there's a group from TAPCO, initiated by the government to interfere with the Teso 116. Now, the people being compensated are the people from TAPCO, but the people from World 16 have not been compensated. Mr. Minister, you check on that and see what. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Girgo Ringoni Angina Kotuma Olabor is raising quite a pertinent issue right there when it comes to the cattle compensation. There are two groups, but as we speak, it's only one group that is being actually given money to compensate the people. Why is it like that? Hello? Sorry, number lesimu erkengara inomesimu amurata amisho anetoma radio ajakona ngisipoja ngita minister sawa ngesilo lojeki onukon amisho anetoma radio. Hello. Hello. Yoga. Good evening. How are you today? Yes, Paul. Thanks so.